Welcome to Art at Home with Allie. In this tutorial, we're going to explore what can you do with a rhyme. We're going to use rhyming and art making together to create some fun and silly drawings. And in this tutorial, I'll be working in my studio. A studio is a place where people go to create. It could be an art studio, a dance studio, a photography studio. My studio is a room in my home that I have set up to make art in. You don't have to have a studio to make art. In fact, I make most of my art in my living room or kitchen because that's where I feel really comfortable. Just like you don't have to have a studio to make art, you don't have to be a professional artist to call yourself an artist. If you make artwork and see the world around you in a unique and curious way, I think that's what makes you an artist. And that's why art is for everyone. And I'm really excited to share this tutorial with you, so let's get started. We're going to use the well-known song Down by the Bay for our inspiration for using art and rhyming. This song has lots of rhyming in it. It's also pretty silly. And if you remember, rhyming words are two or more words that have the same or similar ending sound, like bunny, funny, cat, hat, art, and smart. So first, let's hear part of this song, and then I'll share with you how we can use this type of thinking to create some really fun images. I will attempt to sing it for you, and you can definitely go online, have your parents help you search Down by the Bay. There are so many different versions of it by musicians online, but the song goes like this. Down by the bay where the watermelons grow, back to my home I dare not go. For if I do, my mother will say, did you ever see a bear combing his hair down by the bay? And then the song goes on and it says, did you ever see a whale with a polka dot tail down by the bay? So there are so many different verses to this song. So what I'm thinking is you could kind of play a game where you or your family member says a word and the other says a word that rhymes with it. You could even start like this. Have you ever seen a cat? And then maybe the other person could say what they imagine that rhymes with it. Have you ever seen a cat on a yoga mat? Have you ever seen a pickle getting a tickle down by the bay? Have you ever seen a ship doing a flip? Have you ever seen some cheese crawling on its knees? Have you ever seen a crown wearing a frown down by the bay? Have you ever seen a flower taking a shower? I could go on, but that's basically how the song works. So we're going to use that for inspiration for drawing. Plus, you can also use what you now know about using shapes from the last lesson. So let's get started. So I want to give you a really quick mini lesson on how to draw a facial expression. I think it might help you out when you do your rhyming art drawings. And what I mean by facial expression is the look on a character or person's face that shows what they're thinking or feeling. So I'm going to do a really quick example of how you could include expression. We'll just say these are some heads. Nothing too detailed, just something really quick. I'm going to put the same little eyes and nose on each of them. And I know that looks like a little smile right now, but that is actually going to be a nose. And then I'm going to show you how by just changing the eyebrows and the mouth, you can change the expression in all of your drawings. So I'll start with a pretty basic one, happy. If you're feeling happy, you might have a smile on your face. And sometimes we might feel happy and we don't have a smile, but inside we feel happy. But in this case, I'm going to show the expressions on the character's face. Your eyebrows might be slightly raised. So we'll say happy. Now let's keep the smile, but change the eyebrows. That completely changes the character. Now how does this character look? Maybe a little mischievous, evil, like they're up to something. I'm going to keep the eyebrows the same in this one and change the mouth. I made a little triangle mouth. We'll say that one looks angry or upset. I'm going to keep the mouth the same down here. And I'm going to change the eyebrows. How does that look like that character is feeling to you? Maybe a little worried, nervous, anxious. Let's keep the eyebrows the same here and change the mouth. That character looks like they're upset, like they might be sad or disappointed. And finally, we'll have the eyebrows very raised and a mouth completely open. I'll even add a tongue and some teeth just to give a little more detail. We see that that character might be surprised or shocked or frightened. So you might need to include an expression on your character to give more information in your drawing. For example, if I'm going to do the "Have you ever seen a clown wearing a frown down by the bay?" I would need to use this expression. That would definitely help for that one. So I'll get started on showing you the next part of the lesson, but I want you to keep thinking about how to make an expression. If you're inspired by this, you could pause it and try drawing a simple face right now with an expression. So what you're going to be doing in this lesson is basically creating an illustration of one of the sets of rhyming words that you came up with. So I'll just start with "Have you ever seen a clown wearing a frown?" I'm going to need to try to draw that. And I can think about what kind of shapes and lines I'm going to use to make that. So if I'm thinking of a crown, I'm thinking of something that has a pointy top. What kind of shape would that be? Yes, a triangle shape. Or the line that goes up and down and back and forth would be called a zigzag line. So I'm kind of thinking of that. Tops of triangles or a zigzag line. So there's my crown. You probably can't see it yet, but I will outline it in marker so you can see it. I started with a pencil, and I'm not necessarily following every pencil line I made because I can erase that pencil line if I want. You can keep your drawing all pencil or crayon or marker. Again, it's totally up to you how you're going to work and what materials you're going to use. So there's my crown. Now I have to think about how I'm going to show a crown wearing a frown. And it is a character, so I think I will give it some legs and some feet. I'll use those semicircles again that we talked about last time. Have you ever seen a frown? No, a crown wearing a frown. And I can even make the eyes go up like that. I need to add the eyebrows in, right? The crown will be looking down. I could even add some tears in if I want to make it look really sad. But the important thing is that I show that it's wearing a frown because that's the rhyme, right? The frown and the crown. So that's the most important part, is to include the two rhyming words. And I will do a couple more just to give you some more ideas of how to go about it. So there is my crown wearing a frown. And if I want to add more color, I can. Let's see here. I'm going to get some crayons out. I thought putting crayons in a bowl was actually going to make it easier, but I think having them in the box works better, even though the bowl looks nice. Maybe I will use a red marker for the frown. You draw right over top of that. Now it looks like it's wearing lipstick. Okay. So if I want, I'm just going to color that in. I'm just going to add some crayon and marker to it, and I will go ahead and speed up the video for this part, and I won't talk. That way you can just see me color it in, and it won't take quite as long. Have you ever seen a cat on a yoga mat? I think that's the one I'm going to do next. And I'm going to again start with pencil and outline it. I just want to make sure you know you don't have to outline your drawings. That is something that a lot of cartoonists do. Comics, cartoons, illustrations are often outlined in black, but realistic art isn't, because real life isn't outlined in black. And I'm mainly outlining mine in black here so you can see it, even though I'm going to start with a pencil. So I'm going to think of a cat on a yoga mat, and I'm going to think of the cat's face as a circle. And notice sometimes I'm kind of doing a sketchy mark, not a perfect circle to start with. I'm tracing over the shape I made till I kind of get a feel for it and get it right. And then I can erase those lines that aren't going to work for me later on. So I'm thinking of the cat doing some yoga. I've got a circle, an oval, some little rectangle shapes and rounded shapes for the paws. Maybe the cat's doing this kind of like, I think it's called warrior pose. Again, thinking of the rectangle shapes. I don't know if the cat's position is very accurate for yoga, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that this is going to be a fun illustration, and it goes with what you're studying with rhyming. There's the yoga mat. Have you ever seen a cat on a yoga mat? And I guess the cat just has to be on the yoga mat. It doesn't have to be doing yoga, but this is how I choose to imagine the cat on the yoga mat. Some triangles for its markings. I wonder how many of you have some pets. I'm going to change the nose. I have a cat. I think if I set out my yoga mat, she might sit on it, but I don't think she'd strike this pose. So there's the cat on the yoga mat, and I'm just going to go ahead and get a marker and outline that so you can see. So again, I said this in the last lesson. If you have an idea and you can't see it in your head, go ahead and look at a picture of it, maybe search it online and see what shapes it's made up of. But I also want to say, don't become too attached to making it look just like what you see. You do it in your own way. Especially if you're not somebody who draws a lot, start simple. A good way to search for that is saying, like, let's say you're going to draw a cat because you can't picture one in your head or what shapes to use. You could type in how to draw a simple cat or how to make a cartoon crown. Using words like simple or cartoon often gives you image results where you see very basic things, which is a great way to start. And actually, I use that same kind of thinking when I go to the library. If I want to learn a little bit about something, I actually start in the children's section because they have really simple and easy explanations in there. So the same with art. We start simple and then we make it harder as we go. And the more we understand, the more we can challenge ourselves. Just like this cat. It started with a really simple pose. See, I didn't get those lines perfect, so instead of feeling like I have to start all over, I can just kind of make it work for me. I'm just adding more lines in. Maybe I'll have to make this a striped yoga mat since I can't really erase the marker, so I have to be flexible and make it work. And actually, I suppose a cat's yoga mat, it'd probably be like a little rug, right? Cats love rugs and soft things, so. Have you ever seen a cat on a yoga mat down by the bay? I think I have time to do one more drawing. So it's between doing a pickle getting a tickle, a flower taking a shower, and a cheese crawling on its knees. I'd say either the pickle or the cheese would be really fun to do. I'm going to do the pickle. And I totally forgot. I'm going to go back to the cat here. Here, I forgot to mention the expression. I just made up an expression, but do you see how whatever you're drawing, you're probably naturally going to be giving it a face. And I gave my cat kind of a content or happy face here, and I also forgot its whiskers. All right, there we go. So I'm going to draw a pickle getting a tickle. That means it's going to have a laughing expression. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw the pickle getting a tickle. So I'm thinking the pickle would be kind of like a curved oval shape, right? And maybe kind of bumpy. I like pickles. I often forget that I like pickles until I eat them again and think, oh, I should eat more pickles. I like dill pickle chips. And I'm going to outline this right away so you can kind of see what I'm doing, because I realize the pencil might not show up. So there's the pickle. It's kind of like a stretched out curved oval shape. All right, and I need to make sure it has an expression like it's laughing because it's getting tickled. I'm going to make its eyes closed. So if you're also wanting more information on how to draw expressions, you can look at like the emojis. You can just type in how to draw expressions into the computer. There's so many different ways to draw an expression, and there's great ideas. But what I showed you is some basic approaches so you can just use your imagination. But the more you draw, the more information you might want. So there's that bumpy kind of pickle. It's laughing, and maybe one little arm is coming right here. And the other one is raised. And maybe somebody's tickling it under its arm. Maybe it's another little pickle. I'll show you. This is what I'm thinking. A little baby pickle. And maybe this little pickle is holding a little, nope. It's going to have it holding like a little feather duster or something that it could tickle it with. Something, yeah, like a little feather duster, I think. Oh, you'll see this in a second. All right. So I'm just trying to do it really simple. There's a little hand. Here's the feather duster that's tickling it. Almost looks like a little broom. And the baby pickle has a mischievous look on its face because it's making the other pickle be tickled. There's this other little hand. And then I can erase the pencil. Oh, I could even add a speech bubble. Maybe that helps give us more information. Like, ha ha. put some little lines here to show it's getting tickled. And of course, I could go ahead and use marker or colored pencil or crayon to color this and the cat. And I think I might color them and then show you what they look like afterwards. I'm excited to see what you come up with for this project. Your job is to find at least one group of rhyming words inspired by that Down by the Bay song and do a picture of it. And if you have a hard time with it, look around your house and pick an object. I'm looking around and I see a plant. Have you ever seen a plant being carried by an ant? Or have you ever seen a jar on top of a car? I think you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. All right, this is the end of the video. Here's what the final drawings look like. Have you ever seen a clown wearing a frown down by the bay? Have you ever seen a cat on a yoga mat down by the bay? Have you ever seen a pickle getting a tickle down by the bay? So I just used colored pencil and marker for this one and crayon and marker here. All right. Have fun creating. See you next time.